Greetings, it's Carrie. I am doing the fourth week of Full Tilt Friday. And the subject for today that I want to talk about is growth. And I wanted to seed the clouds a little bit with a couple questions for you folks. When you think about growth, what are you currently doing to promote your own growth? And what can you actively do to promote more positive growth in the future? So I'm thinking about this, as I often do, both from a personal and a professional viewpoint. Now, growth, the concept of growth very much implies that there's an ascendancy. You are developing something in preferably a positive direction. There would be a concept which is opposed to growth, which would be decay. That is, your abilities start to go away. Your functioning in your head begins to become less sharp. Your strength starts to go away. The approach that you have to life, your very mindset, starts to move away from what we'll call a growth mindset. There's a woman named Carolyn Dweck who's gotten a lot of attention for a concept called the growth mindset. And that's something to investigate quite closely. But growth, I think, is sometimes not the most comfortable for people because it implies that you are having to push through something to get to another level. And as I do a lot of fitness related stuff, running ultramarathons, doing long distance adventures, it's very easy to think about how to grow and take on a little bit of a longer distance, or to go a little bit faster, or to survive an event that travels even like through a night, through a second night. How do you begin to get through enough, let's call it trials, tribulation, and practice to get to the point where you can do that confidently? And the only way that's possible that I'm aware of is to push yourself through those boundaries. And those boundaries will imply discomfort. And it's interesting these days, because of the whole COVID situation, people's routines have been disrupted. And the things that perhaps before you had perceived as comfortable are now no longer comfortable, or they're more difficult to keep in that comfort zone, which in short is a good thing. Growth, if you really embrace it, means that you're going to have to push boundaries. So for example, today wasn't in the greatest of moods, thought, okay, I'm going to go out and get some of my miles in today, and started with a run and ran 5-6 miles, and then thought, it's a beautiful day out. I'm just going to walk. I'll listen. Another growth strategy I have while I'm doing this type of thing is I listen to either books or podcasts, sometimes music, sometimes biographies, things like that. So today I was talking Joe Rogan's broadcast, talking with a guy who was talking about breathing. So even while I'm out getting uncomfortable, pushing myself because it's a little bit warm, pushing myself because I've been running a lot, so my legs are a little bit hurting, uncomfortable. And look at that, a phone call, which I will ignore. Actually, it's my buddy, my adventure buddy, Pat. I'll actually put him on real quick and see. Hold on. Senor Pat, how are you?
Hey, not too bad, man. How are you?
Very good. I'm right in the middle of filming live my Full Tilt Friday. So you're on. And Ethan in the background. Yeah, you're on. Your video, you're So are you?
In case your viewers don't know, I'm the Carrie impersonator that goes around the world pretending to be Carrie. It's an honor.
That's true. Well, there is a video that will be forthcoming of a certain location in Bogota where a imposter Carrie goes out. I'm assuming you're calling about tomorrow. Are you in for the Sunday adventure?
I am, and I was wondering if you're interested in a bonus route alteration, but doing most of it with them?
Yes, I am, especially if it means going longer or harder. What's the deal?
It means both. It means both. So I can give you all the details. I don't want to interrupt your live streaming.
Okay, send me a note later, and if you want, maybe we'll just carpool in the morning.
Let's see. I think that makes sense. I'll send you a note. Enjoy the streaming.
Thanks, Pat. See ya.
Later.
All right, sorry about that fortuitous interruption, Pat. We're doing a long adventure in some terrain that's not very well covered, so it'll be a little bit longer. Getting back to the growth concept, tomorrow is actually a good example as well. It's going to be probably, I'm guessing, 8 to 10,000 feet of climbing. It's probably going to go 8 to 10 hours, and it's going to be in terrain where there's no real trails. And I know that will be a growth opportunity for me. If you are looking to take it to the next level, whether that means running a 5K or entering your first 50K marathon or pushing yourself to do a 100-miler, you're always going to have to seek out that growth zone. And the growth zone is one where you are getting past your level of comfort. You're pushing your muscles to a point where they have no more to give, or you're pushing yourself to a point where your muscles have sort of gotten to the point where they just give up. And when you're developing muscles with strength, what starts to happen is you start to create these little tears, and those tears are little signals that say, hey, you need to grow, you need to become stronger. With endurance, it's the same thing. It gives you and your muscles the ability to work past where you previously thought they might be able to work. So if you can get comfortable in that discomfort and actually seek that out, you're going to be putting yourself in an environment where growth is inevitable. You're always going to be improving. So I'm 52 years old right now, and compared to a lot of my contemporaries, I feel like I am still, I guess you might call it young at heart, but I don't relate to some of them so much because they have, quote unquote, gotten old where I have not. And I think that's because I am constantly putting myself into positions where I am looking for an opportunity to stretch boundaries, to stretch boundaries, to stretch boundaries. And that means getting uncomfortable. And beyond even just getting uncomfortable, embracing that part, knowing that that's what you paid your money for. That's why you paid your dues, so you could get to that point. When I'm in a ultra marathon that might be 200 miles long, and I'm 2.5 days in, and I'm going into the third night without real sleep, and part of me is thinking, oh God, I can't bear this. Maybe I just pull over, have a nap. Maybe if I just sleep for a while, I'll be good. Maybe I can just pull out. I mean, who cares? I've already run 180 miles. Who cares if I do another 30 or 40? But that's when you also remind yourself, I paid my money. I paid my dues. I did the training. I got the shoes. I filled up the pack. I did the previous 180 miles so I could get to this point of discomfort. And that's where the real valuable growth occurs, because if you've done it once, you know you can do it again. So I would encourage you to seek out those states where you're literally not comfortable. The other thing I would start to look at potentially is who you surround yourself with. Do you have a support network there who will support you in becoming uncomfortable, in going camping in the snow, in walking across the hot desert? Do you have people who would say, oh yeah, that sounds like a fantastic thing. You should go for it. You should definitely do it. Look after yourself, or maybe I'll come with you kind of thing. Or do you have people say, oh, you'd be crazy to do that sort of thing? So who do you surround yourself with? A good example is my friend Pat there. So someone posted up in our Sunday runners group, my buddy Bill, he said, hey, I want to do this adventure tomorrow, which involves going into territory where there's no real trails and going up some peaks where, again, we'll probably be bushwhacking in very steep and tenuous terrain. that is difficult and challenging to both navigate, get up and down. And he says, I'm not really sure what I'm going to encounter. Who would like to go? And I jumped on. I said, I'll definitely come. That sounds like a lot of fun. A couple places I've never been. And I jumped in and said, let me know what you think. He said, probably 8 hours. So then my friend Pat comes in and says, hey, we're doing this tomorrow. And why don't we just add this other thing on? Because it would be probably pretty cool to do too. And I have no idea what he's got in mind, but I'm sure he probably wants to hit some peak back there that isn't currently on the itinerary, but we could do it. So if you've got people like that in your life who are pushing you, that's a good sign, because energy is infectious. The people around you have a direct impact, a direct bearing on your potential growth. And if you're around people who are in action, who are doing things, who are about transformation, and growth really is some sort of transformation, and let's call it positive transformation. If you're in a group where people are about transformation, and this is a common thing, the chances are you also will be about positive transformation. And that continuous positive transformation in life is a thing that, for me personally, I seek out. All right, let me just look in here. I got a few comments coming in. Always listen to podcasts while running. Sometimes just walk longer to continue listening. Yeah, I can relate 100%. Sometimes my growth is extended because the growth I'm getting in my head is something I don't want to interrupt. So that just means I'll go longer. David C, 10K subscribers. Yay. Yeah, I got a little note of congratulations from YouTube. I'm not sure exactly what it'll do, but hopefully we'll be able to milk that and get more attention onto this type of messaging. Long distance is all about, yes, Corey, it is. Perfect timing. You completed a number of 100 milers, never farther. So my take on the 100 miler jump to 200 milers, twice the distance. Instead of 4 marathons, you're doing 8 marathons. Instead of finishing probably, give or take 6 hours within a day, you'll be looking at finishing, give or take 6 hours within 3 days, unless you're really fast or a little on the slower side. So that's a big jump, Marlon. So if you jump up from 100 to 200, you, in my opinion, and I've done a few of these now. So what I think helps you is getting to the point where you are really tired and then doing the same thing the next day. Also, backing off on intensity a good bit so you can continue relentlessly moving forward, even when you're tired. Say you want to eat something. Great. Here comes a hill. That means you're going up. That means you can get into your pack, pull something out and eat while you're going up the hill. Just don't begin to, they say, beware the chair. If you get into an aid station, you sit in the chair for too long. The delirious that I just did, I sat in the chair too long a lot, but it was almost intentional because I was feeling heat distress and I was just ended up being there for the experience after I changed. September 1st, becoming 240 multi-day FKT. Yeah, I'd be curious as to what that is. It sounds like the Moab. I don't know if Moab's actually happening or not, but if it is, that is a fantastic race. That is a great thing to do. So I won't go too much farther, but what I'll do is encourage you to seek out the hard things rather than the easy way. Easy way, instant gratification. That's what this Western culture is often about right now. And it's not particularly rewarding in the long term. If you really are about growth, oftentimes you will avoid the immediate instant gratification and you will do the hard things. So when presented with, hey, you could go the short way, we take the shortcut, unless it's fun, like climbing something or you have to jump off something or do something, or you could take the long way, go up the hill and back down. I'd encourage you to go the long way, take the route up the hill and back down. So, and that begins to pay off over time. And you end up living in a lifestyle that people look at and they wonder, like a lot of my friends look at me who are non-ultra people who don't know all aspects of my life, and they just can't quite figure out what it is that I'm doing that enables me to live the way I do, with the energy that I've got, with the attitude I've got, and that sort of thing. But a lot of it comes down to that growth mindset. If you are always thinking about how you can alter yourself in some sort of positive way, that is fantastic. So I'll finish up by saying a couple things. If you have not already, if you can mark this video with a thumbs up, that's helpful for the YouTube algorithms. If you are not currently a subscriber, if you could subscribe, you'll get an email once every week or two that says, hey, there's a video that's come out. That's helpful. You can follow me if you'd like on Instagram at Kerry Ward. The link will be in the description. And if you really want to go above and beyond, there's a Patreon account, which you can also subscribe to. And whether it's $1 a month or $10 a month or whatever, if you get some value for these and you're wanting to give something back, it's much appreciated from my side. So that's it for Kerry. Growth mindset. If you can put a comment or two down below about what you do specifically to create, to foster, to attract growth into your life, that would be fantastic. So peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.